Why does it seem like narcissists always stay angry at their victims, seemingly for no reason after a breakup or after the discard? They are always disproportionately angry at their ex when it should be the other way around. And I am tempted to say that the answer to this question is because narcissists at their core are always angry. And that definitely has a lot of truth to it. But here is a more complete answer. In order to consider why narcissists do the things that they do, it can be helpful to consider that the mask or the idealized false self and taking into account how important maintaining that image that of the false self is to the narcissist. As we all know, narcissists have been emotionally abused, they have been traumatized, they were neglected at a very, very young age, or they were overindulged as children. This caused their development to be stunted at the age of whatever age it was that they were traumatized. And this mask was manifested to it in order to appeal to whoever that primary caregiver was, who neglected them, in hopes that that primary caregiver would care about them more if they presented them with this false idealized self. That mask has to be propped up at all costs. It is absolutely imperative for a narcissist, and they will do anything to keep that mask propped up, as they cannot bear the pain of that wound, that old childhood wound being reopened, that was because of the rejection in childhood from their primary caregiver. And whenever the narcissist hears something about themselves that is good, and say somebody were to walk up to them and say, oh, you're such a wonderful person, you're such a beautiful person, or whatever comprises that, whatever it makes up that mask, whatever the good qualities of the false self are, and if somebody compliments a part of that false self, the ego is receiving a boost. But the thing is, that false self is very precariously balanced and dependent on external validation from others. It cannot be propped up from internally. They wouldn't have to wear a mask if they could self-validate. There is a part of the narcissist that understands the truth of the real self, and that comes along with a lot of shame and rejection. And those things, they can never be encountered, and they will avoid them at all costs. And this explains much of the narcissist behavior in and outside of formal relationships. What does make a narcissist angry? What we refer to is a narcissistic injury, or when something happens that causes cognitive dissonance between the real self and the idealized false self, or the mask, their idealized view of reality, and where that idealized false self or the mask is king or queen of the world, and whoever else is involved with them, and that is their real reality, so to speak. And one of the functions of the false self is to act as a type of defense mechanism, because when that real self was abandoned and rejected because of being flawed as a child, in the perception of the neglected child, that shame cannot be allowed to reappear, which explains, like I said, many of the behaviors of the narcissist, such as not being able to apologize and blaming everybody else for the things that they do, taking no accountability, no responsibility. And it would also be really, really easy to hypothesize that the narcissist has discarded many people, and does discard because of narcissistic rage, to protect against a narcissistic injury. But that never fixes the problem for the narcissist, so that cognitive dissonance remains. So the anger towards the significant other, or the newly ex-significant other, remains as well. So after a narcissistic injury, the narcissist will need to take additional steps to restore their ego or rebuild that idealized false self. And in order to do that, a lot of the times they will find a new partner, or they will steal something from their ex, or something that makes them feel special and restored to that throne of that high sense of entitlement. And that will temporarily allow for the narcissist to feel special and not so angry until the next crisis. Have you ever made a decision in your life that would make you look like a reckless person, a crazy person, or just something that would generally embarrass you to others, or something that would make others lose respect for you? Would you do this thing or these things in order to get what you want? The only way that you knew, and the only way that you knew how to take the heat off of you for doing these things, was shifting the blame over to somebody else. That is one of the primary reasons why the narcissist is so angry all of the time, because of the act that they are putting on for everyone. And say the narcissist found someone new, they will literally make up reasons to be mad at you, scenarios that did not happen, and deep down they know that you did not do a thing. But it's just that they cannot fight off the butterflies or those chemicals that are making them high off of the new supply. And they can't let you down slowly, because they know everything that led up to the point of discard was all because of their poor decisions that they made. The flirting behind your back, the cheating, the lying, the secret conversations, and that has all led up to a new person. And the narcissist will not take accountability for that either. And they let us go, or they ran us out of their lives like we were the bad person. But in reality, they know that they did some very, very bad things behind closed doors that should have made us hate them. And in many cases, a lot of us do hate our narcissists for what they have done. And many of us have let them go, and they turn cold. They get angry and distant, and they make up lies. In the end, they're cheating. They are creating constant chaos, because it is the only way that they know how to break up with someone, because they cannot end a committed relationship without an out or an excuse that puts all of the blame on somebody else. So they're going to make it out to the new supply and everyone else as if this was your fault, and they will not leave the old relationship for the new supply until everything is lined up, so that it looks like everything was your fault. And the narcissist will be happy with him or herself, and that they will have the thrill of the new love and the fresh start. And they try to forget about all of their past mistakes, but they always come back to bite them in the ass. They break the bond that you thought you had, not the trauma bond, and they start a bond with someone else. And sometimes they do feel overwhelmed with not guilt, but it's more shame, toxic shame, and that is different than guilt. But remembering that the relationship with the new supply is not a real relationship, and a relationship takes years. It takes trust. It takes getting over major issues and fights and everything, and sticking together through the thick and the thin, and investing in each other. And even if things get boring, and that is something that the narcissist simply cannot do. In the beginning, they will try hard to make it work, but eventually they always get bored. And in the back of the narcissist's mind, they know that they are the common denominator.